Of course, moving on to UFC Nashville happening, of course, this Saturday night, and I'm so excited. This card is well and truly stacked, honestly. I was quite surprised actually at the quality of this card. This weekend we have a very nice card that has to be watched from start to finish, because there are quite a few people on this card that will be interesting to any of you guys watching at home. Now, one thing I'm going to say before I go over the whole card, and I'll do my main card picks as usual. Junior Tafa, one thing you must know is that on this card he is fighting now and will probably remain at light heavyweight. So of course, as you know, Junior Tafa is Justin Tafa's little brother. Real cute situation where sometimes, which happened last year, if Junior Tafa was to pull out of a fight, Justin Tafa would step in and vice versa, which I found really cool. But both guys are at heavyweight at that point, but Junior Tafa always looks smaller for a heavyweight fighter. I'm going to put on the screen right now the comparison between him at 241 pounds and him at 205, which of course shows you guys that he never really made heavyweight weight. He made the minimum, but he was never at the weight of a heavyweight. So I think that's why he had such a difficulty winning his fights at heavyweight, because he's tall, but he was a lot smaller in build. He looks ripped. He looks good. So very happy for Junior Tafa to be looking this good ahead of his fight on Saturday, and also going down onto light heavyweight may be the best decision he's made so far in his career. Only time will tell, of course. We'll see on Saturday. So let me go over the UFC Nashville card from head to toe and let you guys in on what's happening at UFC Nashville. I hope you guys are planning on watching this fight card, because it is stacked. So first fight I'd like you guys to know about is, of course, the return of Johnny Walker's brother, Walter Walker. He is, of course, at heavyweight at the moment. Walter Walker is going to be taking on Kennedy Njoku. Njoku, of course, a very dangerous, dominant fighter at 14 victories to 5 defeats. Walter being at 13 victories to 1 defeat. So this is going to be a very interesting bout, to say the least, on the prelims card. This is just prelims for now, of course. So on the prelims card, we've already got some heavy hitters, and we all love a good heavyweight fight. So this kind of fight, this excites me. It's at heavyweight and it's on the prelim cards for UFC Nashville. And of course, it foreshadows the fact that we're having a very interesting, huge heavyweight bout at the top of the card for the main event between Tallison Teixeira and Derek Lewis. On this card, we also have Lauren Murphy coming in with 16 victories to 6 defeats. She'll be taking on Eduarda Mora, who has currently 11 victories to 1 defeat. So Lauren Murphy, of course, being the veteran fighter between these two girls. Lauren at 41 years old, Eduarda at 31. This could be a pass the torch kind of situation, or Lauren Murphy could secure her place in the women's flyweight division and beat Eduarda Mora. But Eduarda has very little defeat, so she looks to be a very big challenge. So I'm excited to see how Lauren will wear in the octagon against this almost undefeated flyweight contender. On the prelims card again, we have Jake Matthews coming back. He'll be facing Chidi Njokwani. Very much a high volume, interesting fight. This is going to be heavy hitters, high paced, and very interesting to watch. Jake Matthews, of course, he's at 21 victories to 7 defeats, and Njokwani, he's at 25 victories to 10 defeats. So I'm excited to see what this fight will show us from both of these guys, and it's a very interesting prelim fight. You must tune in. Last fight on the prelims card, which is featuring, of course, someone we love, Chris Curtis. He'll be taking on Max Griffin at, of course, welterweight. Chris Curtis obviously coming off a loss against Kopylov, who we're going to be seeing very soon at UFC 318 against Paulo Costa. So he lost, of course, Chris Curtis via 3rd round KO just before the end of the round, really. But I think he'll be raging. I think he'll be looking to come back into the octagon and win this fight. Max Griffin, of course, also a veteran fighter. Both guys are 37 and 39. These are guys at the tail end of their careers. Of course, I'd love to see them fight more. Max Griffin's been at the UFC since 2016, so he's been around for a long time. His last fight, Max Griffin, was in December of last year, and he unfortunately lost via submission in the 3rd round. So maybe Chris Curtis could work on his grappling and maybe get a submission over Max Griffin in this fight. But we'll see what happens between these two guys. But they both have, of course, vengeance because they both are on a losing streak. So both guys will want to get back into the win column. So this fight can only be awesome. So now let's go on to my main card picks. We have 6 fights on the main card of the UFC Nashville event, and this, guys, is going to be a very stacked card, as I said. Starting off the main card, we have, of course, Junior Tafa taking on Tuco Tucos, who we saw recently take on Navajo Sterling. Navajo Sterling being one of CKB's students in New Zealand. He trains with Israel Adesanya, Dan Hooker, etc. So he won via decision over Tucos the last time we saw Tucos in the December 2024. So Tucos is obviously going to be looking to get back into the win column. This is a fight between himself and Junior Tafa that was delayed. We were supposed to be seeing this fight on the 4th of May at Sanhagen versus Figueiredo's fight card. We did not see them. That fight was cancelled. I believe Junior Tafa was injured. So this fight is rescheduled, of course, for Saturday night, which is a great addition to this card. And I think, if I were to give my humble opinion, I think that at light heavyweight, Junior Tafa will be very dangerous for the light heavyweights, because I see most people coming down from a higher weight class to a lower weight class as very threatening individuals, because they are used to fighting people heavier than their current opponents. So they have more punching power, they have more dominance in the octagon. So I think that Junior Tafa will get the late stoppage in this fight, or a UD against Tocos at light heavyweight. Next up on the main card, we have Vitor Petrino taking on Austin Lane. So this is kind of an interesting fight. I'm just reading up on Austin Lane, because I said Austin Lane because I know him as Austin Lane, but he's changed his name to Dejuan Lane. And Vitor Petrino is, of course, coming up from light heavyweight to face Austin Lane at heavyweight. This is his first fight at heavyweight, and if you guys remember, I'm going to call him Austin Lane because I prefer Austin, and you guys know him as Austin as well. But Austin Lane, he's a big guy, former American footballer, huge guy, very imposing heavyweight. Petrino, of course, a big guy as well, but I don't think he'll be as big as Austin Lane face to face. We'll see that on Saturday and on Friday for the ceremony weigh-ins. Age-wise, Austin Lane's 37, Petrino is 27. However, I think that coming up into heavyweight, facing a huge opponent like Austin Lane will be a very hard challenge for Petrino. But I'm going to go with Petrino, however, instead of going with my gut, because my gut says choose the original heavyweight Austin Lane. But I believe that Petrino, his skills in MMA are superior to those of Austin Lane. Petrino is a very good striker. He's a very quick striker. He's very explosive, and I feel like the punches that he'll be landing on Austin Lane will be enough to potentially knock him out. And I think this fight will be stopped in the first or second round via KO, and Petrino will get the victory in this fight. That's my opinion on that one. What do you guys think of Petrino's move to heavyweight? And what do you think will happen on Saturday between himself and Austin Lane? Next up, we have the Frenchman Morgan Charrier, who we last saw at UFC London. He was very focused on his fight against Nathaniel Wood, but unfortunately, Morgan Charrier came up short and lost via UD to Nathaniel Wood at UFC London. So, of course, everyone was very happy because Nathaniel Wood's from London. So, an amazing victory for someone that in his home country. Now, Morgan Charrier then announced 1 or 2 months after UFC London that he had signed a new multi-fight deal at the UFC, which is great news, because someone coming off of 2 consecutive losses, like Morgan Charrier, it's quite risky. You may be scared that the UFC will cut you. But at 29 years old, I think Morgan Charrier has a lot more to give and a lot more improvements to make. And maybe since March, since his last fight camp, he has been able to make those improvements. And he's going to be taking on Nate Landwehr, who is a veteran fighter at 37 years old. In terms of height difference, there's not really much difference. They're both relatively the same height. Morgan Charrier has, however, a 10 centimeter disadvantage in terms of his arm reach. But I believe Morgan Charrier will get the win here. He wants to get out of the losing column. He must be boosted up by his new signing of the multi-fight deal that he has with the UFC. So I think that between Nate and Morgan Charrier will get the late stoppage or the UD in this fight via KO if the stoppage happens in the 3rd round. Now we have Calvin Kattar versus Steve Garcia. Steve Garcia, of course, hasn't lost since 2022. and he's been on a streak of putting people to sleep in the first round. He's a dangerous, dangerous man. Whereas, of course, Calvin Kattar has not won since 2022, and he's been put to sleep by all his opponents since 2022. So the difference here is astronomical. Both guys probably looking to get in the win column, as, of course, Steve Garcia's used to being in the win column, used to winning hands down over his opponents very quickly. He's allergic to the second round at the moment. Whereas, of course, Calvin Kattar looking to get back in the win column because it's been quite some time since he's won. However, that being said, I believe Steve Garcia is still going to steamroll Kattar. I think he'll get a first or second round stoppage again in this fight. I think it may not be stopped in the first, because you never have someone stopping every one of his opponents in the first round throughout his whole career. He's been on a streak since 2022, but I think that this fight could go towards the second or the third round. But I believe that he'll get the second round KO over Kattar. I'm sorry, Kattar, but you're not leaving the losing column just yet, in my opinion. For the co-main event of this amazing card is Stephen Thompson versus Gabriel Bonfim. Gabriel Bonfim, of course, has a record of 17 victories to 1 single defeat. And Steve Thompson, of course, coming off of a TKO loss at 17 victories to 8 defeats and 1 no contest. Steve Thompson being the veteran fighter at 42 years old, and Bonfim being at 27 years old. Of course, we know Bonfim has his brother also at the UFC. Between the two of the brothers, he's the one with the better record. We last saw Stephen Thompson against the superstar of the welterweight division, Joaquin Buckley, who KO'd him in the third round, just over 2 minutes. Now, he's been KO'd. His chin has been cracked. Will Bonfim be able to KO a Stephen Thompson, be able to finish a Stephen Thompson? That's my question. I think maybe we will see a finish from Bonfim. Now, Bonfim is more of a submission artist than a KO artist. He submits most of his opponents when he wins via finish. But Stephen Thompson is very good on the ground as well. So I think that we are most likely going to be seeing a lot of grappling in this fight, and Stephen Thompson won't let himself get submitted that easily. But I believe Bonfim will still get the victory here, and he will get it via ground and pound punches. Because having taken down Stephen Thompson, I think they'll probably grapple on the ground, wrestle a bit, change positions, and maybe, just maybe, Bonfim will get in there, try and submit him, not get the submission, and then go for the ground and pound. I think that's how we're going to see this fight go out. So I think this will happen in the second or third round. So late stoppage via ground and pound TKO for Bonfim on this co-main event over the legend, the veteran, Stephen Thompson. Sorry, Stephen. And as for the main event of the evening, we have Derek Lewis coming back after quite a hiatus from the UFC, and he'll be taking on the new boogeyman of the heavyweight division, Tallison Teixeira. Tallison Teixeira, of course, with a record of 8 victories to 0 defeats. He came along to the UFC at Dana White's Contender Series via a massive victory over his Contender Series opponent via TKO, of course, via KO. He is just unstoppable. We saw Justin Tafa, of course, Junior Tafa's older brother, take on Tallison Teixeira earlier on this year in February at UFC 312, and unfortunately for Justin Tafa, he was at the back end of a nasty KO win for Tallison Teixeira. And I think that this guy is very, very dangerous. He has everything it takes, has everything he needs to become a superstar at the heavyweight division. I was just saying a couple of weeks ago how Tom Aspinall is so good that I don't know who in the heavyweight division will have what it takes to confront him and be at his level. And maybe with a bit of work on polishing his striking, etc., maybe Tallison Teixeira will be the next big heavyweight that to come across Tom Aspinall and maybe challenge him on a higher level than his other opponents. That being said, we've not seen Tallison Teixeira take on a top 10 UFC heavyweight opponent. So I think this is really a big test for Tallison Teixeira. I believe, in my opinion, Tallison Teixeira has what it takes to be in the top 10, if not the top 5 of the heavyweight division. I hope I'm not talking too soon, because we've not seen him against an opponent like Derek Lewis before. So maybe he'll get into the octagon and prove us all wrong, and Derek Lewis will just flatline him and say, that was your new prospect? I don't think so. Derek Lewis accepted this fight. This means that he's probably studied Tallison Teixeira's game and probably seen some holes in the game that he might be able to capitalize on. But I believe that if Derek Lewis wants this fight, then he, of course, sees a victory in the horizon for himself. So is Tallison Teixeira really going to be that boogeyman that bulldozes through any opponent we give him? Or will Derek Lewis be the one to stop the win streak that Tallison Teixeira is on currently at the UFC? In my opinion, it won't be as easy one and done as some of his other fights for Tallison Teixeira. We won't be seeing a first round KO over Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis is a hard knock guy. Hitting him in the head just won't necessarily knock him out straight away. That being said, I think that Derek Lewis is someone who gets tired a lot easier than other opponents that Tallison Teixeira has fought. And I think that maybe at heavyweight, at this level, Tallison Teixeira has maybe a better cardio than Derek Lewis. So if they take this fight to the second, third, or fourth round, I think both men will be tired, but Derek Lewis may be the more tired of the two. Now, these guys are not grapplers. They do not take down their opponents. They're more strikers. And so both guys being strikers, I believe this fight will stay on the feet and there'll be a lot of striking involved and there'll be a lot of good strikes in this game. And I think that maybe Tallison Teixeira will be able to knock out a Derek Lewis. But I believe it will happen after the second round is complete. So over the third, fourth, or fifth round, I believe Tallison Teixeira will KO Derek Lewis. And that's really against my heart because of course Derek Lewis, he's so funny, he's so likable, and he's a great fighter. So he's at the back end of his career, of course. He's 40 years old. Tallison Teixeira at the start of his career at 25 years old. So really complete opposites in this heavyweight division. So as I said, will Derek Lewis be the gatekeeper of the division and stop the prospect Tallison Teixeira getting the victory here, or will Tallison Teixeira bulldoze through a Derek Lewis and be the next boogeyman that bulldozes through the top 10 of the heavyweight division? In my opinion, he won't be stopped by Derek Lewis. Tallison Teixeira will continue on his win streak and keep his 0 on Saturday night. What do you guys think of Tallison Teixeira? Do you think he is the new boogeyman of the heavyweight division, or do you think we need to look and see what happens on Saturday before deciding if he's really worthy of that title? In any case, I'll let you guys let me know in the comments down below. What do you guys think of my predictions for the main card of UFC Nashville on Saturday? And don't forget to tune into the prelims because, of course, as I said to you, they are looking tasty as hell. So don't miss out on that. Like, comment, subscribe as usual, and we'll see each other next week. Bye.